Down Periscope is a 1996 film directed by David S. Ward. This was written by Hugh Wilson, Andrew Kurtzman, and Elliot Ward, and it stars Kelsey Grammer as Tom Dodge. And I think I enjoyed this, but I will admit if it wasn't Kelsey Grammer, I probably wouldn't have liked it as much, but not because it's not a good film necessarily, but because it's not ordinarily my kind of film. One of the great things about watching films of certain actors is that it encourages me to watch films that I might not otherwise pay attention to, and sometimes that allows me to find really great gems, sometimes it's a disaster, and sometimes, like this one, I didn't mind the experience, but I wouldn't watch it a second time. Dodge wants his own submarine. He's in the Navy, I should point that out. And he's actually tasked with testing out some new equipment, and they do this with war games where basically they simulate this situation to see if things would survive in that kind of situation. And he says that if he succeeds with this, he will get his own submarine. He will be able to command his own sub. And this is what the film is about. This war game, or these war games and the various tests. But actually, I feel like more than that, at least for me, it's about the characters. We obviously have a lot of characters in a very enclosed environment on this really old, beaten down submarine called the USS Stingray, and we have all of these men in such close proximity together. And then we have a character called Emily Lake, who is the only female there. And needless to say, there are some jokes at her expense, but actually as the film progresses and we get some character development across the board and the various characters learn to work better together, things obviously progress and improve for certain characters, but that's not to say that there aren't obstacles. But for me, this is definitely more about the characters' interactions and their own personal developments rather than the actual war games themselves. However, if you are interested in the Navy, if that aspect does appeal to you, then maybe that would be more at the forefront for you. I'd be very keen to know if that's the case, but I mostly found most of my enjoyment from the characters themselves, and of course the performances. The performances across the board were really good. As a Kelsey Grammer fan, I did obviously enjoy his performance in this, but I realised that, well, as I said at the beginning, if he wasn't in this, or if there wasn't anybody in this I was particularly interested in, then I probably wouldn't have found it quite as interesting. So I'm very much aware of that fact. However, it does seem to tick all of the right boxes. I think the narrative worked really well. It flowed really well. The pacing was really good. The film's not tremendously long. It's about an hour and a half. And it does make me feel quite claustrophobic at times, to be honest, watching them in this really enclosed space. And I'm also not great with open water either. So it didn't make me feel very easy. But that's a personal experience rather than anything with the film. But I think it seems like they did a good job with it. I'd love to know what you think of it, if this is your kind of film, if this is kind of the narrative towards which you usually gravitate. It isn't for me. But that being said, I didn't mind watching it. I thought it was okay. If you're a Kelsey Grammer fan, you'll definitely enjoy his performance, but as I said, everybody gave a really great performance in this. I have no complaints. I'll probably never watch it again, but I don't mind having watched it. I thought Down Periscope was very well written. We have a nice amount of comedy in this as well. It's not laugh out loud funny, but there is some decent humour in this. And in general, I thought it was not too bad at all. Not a personal favourite, but Down Periscope is one that I didn't mind watching, and if it does sound like it would appeal to you, then I'd say it's probably worth checking out.